Hey, what's up, everybody? It's video 44 coming at you another video. If you're at nauseum hearing me talk about Ben Simmons and all of that, I don't blame you. Go ahead and skip this video. Go check out a different one because I'm going in. I'm going to do that very thing. Um, so I just got through listening to a portion of Stephen A's reply to Ben Simmons' representatives coming out and saying that he's not mentally prepared to play for the Philadelphia 76ers. And his thing is, he put out his disclaimer in regards to if it's a real thing, he supports people getting help and not holding back and being forthright with their mental health. And if it's a real thing, he wants people to come out and be courageous. He supports that. But if it's not a real thing, uh, he doesn't respect it. And, he went on to give us the different bullet points that the media focuses on in regards to describing us of who Ben Simmons is. Bullet points that I'm starting to really realize are bullet points that they stick on us based on things that they find out through their sources that aren't named Ben Simmons. And they will take those truths, they'll put them on the board, and then they'll surround their opinions and everything that they tell us about around those points. And I've been saying that on my channel for the last couple of days because I'm starting to really pay more attention to it in a way that makes it so that I'm not buying it at all. So in this case, he gives us the spiel of the bullet points. Ben Simmons, he doesn't want to play for Philadelphia. He doesn't want to face the media. The things that we're supposed to believe as fact that we haven't heard from his mouth. And my thing is, look, his representatives are saying to us on his behalf, because he hasn't spoken, that he's not mentally in a space where he can play for this team. It's all fun and games until someone does something extreme, and then we're sitting up saying, well, we should have seen the signs, or oh, we wish they would have let us know or reached out and let us know they needed help. This man is telling us. He's saying my head isn't where it needs to be. Now, however you equate that in your mind is your business, but the first thing I'm hearing out of the media is, well, yeah, he may be telling the truth, but these bullet points that we're selling, we can't give you our honest reactions because we have to fit the narrative. So they're telling the American public a bunch of things about this kid, and they're not focusing on the aspect of it that he's clearly trying to get us to focus on, which is mentally. Right here, I'm not doing all right. And not only that, but Stephen A. One of his points was, I don't believe him. I don't think he's telling the truth. I think at the end of the day, he's not being honest. And my thing is, bro, what are you basing that on? And most importantly, when you're leading the American public to agree with you, what are they supposed to hang that on? It always comes back around to them damn bullet points. He doesn't want to face the media. Doc Rivers said some things about him. Joel Embiid said some things about him. Believe those things no matter what. No. I'm not for it. It doesn't mean that those things aren't things that triggered him, but I'm not going to allow those bullet points to pull me away from what it is that we need to focus on, which is that this person is telling us his mental state isn't right. Stephen A. said, we haven't seen any signs. He didn't scream mental health when he was going through such and such. He didn't scream mental health. Okay, so that's a layered thing, because Stephen A.'s point is missing so many different angles. When you say that a person didn't mention that they had issues with their mental health at certain different points as things were deteriorating. Right, because those things pushed them to that mental space. Because those situations are what the occurrence of bad mental health is coming from. And that's what it's like. Okay, Stephen A., I respect the fact that your mental health is strong, bro. And I know that a lot of people who are in positions of power have really, really strong mental health, and they don't, you know what I mean? They do what they have to do. They take care of themselves and they move forward. But when you're dealing with someone whose mind doesn't work that way, doesn't function that way, or is dealing with stress in such a way, maybe they don't function in a way that makes sense to you. Maybe they're more so reacting to certain things in real time to help them cope with what it is that they're dealing with from an internal standpoint. So it's like a lot of what they do is reactionary. He ain't going to be planning to tell you something that would be personal to him at a convenience to you so that all things can make sense. because in the mind of a person who's dealing with something, a lot of what they're dealing with doesn't make sense. So why he didn't do it, who knows? Why he didn't come out and through his representation say that he was in a mental health space and needed support in that way? I don't know. And it's a legitimate question, but I don't think it's something that we can write off as him not being ill simply because at a time 2 weeks ago when something else was going on, he didn't tell us that his mental health wasn't in place. I just think that that's it's a sound concern, but it's not something you hang your hat on as it pertains to trying to figure out if someone's okay. And then another thing is just like, again, they have to make sure that everything they tell us fits these narratives. So what they're not going to tell us is that the signs of him being mentally unhealthy have been there, because they've been describing those things through the narrative. That's where their lies get crossed. You know what I mean? When they tell so many different lies, till now the lies are starting to intertwine with one another. You can't tell me that we've seen no signs of this person suffering from mental illness when you've literally spent the last 2 years expressing to me that this person has an irrational fear of shooting the basketball. You cannot tell me that he doesn't have mental health issues and then also press that narrative. You can't have it both ways, Stephen. And that's what you need to go up there and tell your bosses. Like, look, that particular narrative, it doesn't align, because you're literally describing to all of us that this is a irrational mental health situation with his behavior on the court leading up to this point where he's literally reached a threshold. See, I would not have the idea that he is thinking irrational had you not put that seed in our heads about his mental state through that narrative. Congratulations, you painted him out to be crazy. Now you want us to think he's not crazy because it doesn't fit your narrative now, in trying to force him to stay in place in Philadelphia to keep playing for those individuals he works for. That is what is happening. He's trying to get out from under them. He wants new employment, and they're going to paint him in whatever way they need to make it so that you do, the public, you push him in a direction that does what they want him to do. That's what's happening. That's how they operate. It's what they do. And they've been doing it to different athletes for a long time. Long time. I tell you something else too. But a variable about this conversation that does not get talked about enough. Clutch sports. Who's clutch? Bron James. Where did Bron not go? Philadelphia. Where did he not go? It came down to two teams, LA and Philly. Who chose LA? Philly got left holding the bag. They want Ben Simmons to be LeBron James. That's who they wanted him to be. Simple and plain. Because we know Ben Simmons and LeBron James would not have coexisted. They would have let Ben go to bring in Bron if Bron would have chose them. May not have been right away, but that contract wouldn't have been there. Ben Simmons' contract would have been gone. And so I'm telling you all, I think it's a little bit of that going on. Being that Ben Simmons is a clutch client, and Bron, Mr. Clutch, chose LA. Now all of a sudden there's rumors of them having issues with one another. Now this kid is suddenly, several months, 2 years later, now this kid is a beacon of the war between those two parties. That's what we're seeing. That's what the tea leaves tell me. So all this talk about Ben being this way and all his personality is this and that. I looked on his IG, he ain't posted in months. I don't know what's going on Twitter, Facebook, but IG, he ain't posted in months. So all this talk about who he is, what he's about, and all that, you don't know. And the media is going to talk to you like it's a foregone conclusion that you know, because of them damn bullet points they keep putting up there that are supposed to be fact, because they got it from someone other than him. We're not buying no more, man. Public getting smarter now. We got our own voices. And as soon as you hit us with that bull crap, you got people like me getting on camera going to say the same things that I'm saying right now after every one of them stupid ass conversations that y'all be having, painting these people a certain way. Nah. Now see, I think part of my purpose here is to offset some of that. Even though I'm just as ignorant, I don't know what the hell's going on. I'm further away from it than they are, but I can see when they're trying to make me think a certain thing about a stranger. I'm starting to be able to understand that, pick it apart, point it out to y'all. So, hey, like I said, I don't know Ben Simmons. He might be a horrible guy. He might be worse than they're pointing him out to be. Who knows? But the point is, he's a stranger that I haven't heard from. And so all these foregone conclusions about who he is and what he's about, only thing I can really hang my hat on is the tea leaves that are shown in the paperwork by his representatives and the different things that have happened surrounding the situation that he's a part of. Because that's all we really have tangible evidence of. Otherwise, it's just middlemen talking to us, whatever they want us to hear, and reaffirming those things as if we're supposed to believe them. Maybe they're true, maybe they're shit. But it's time we start understanding the formulas that they feed us. They've been doing it to so many different athletes for so many different years. That's why it's easy to see now. So, my name is BDL44. I'm for the betterment of the athlete, for the betterment of the league as it pertains to it being a functional, flowing entity from which great athletes from all over the world can come through and do what it is that they do best and get paid handsomely for it as the continued revenue is flowed into the conglomerate itself. That's what it's about. Stop telling me, oh, these guys don't deserve $200 million. As long as the owners are getting that fraction of the money, hell yeah, the guys who are down there running around making it so that people are watching them that much should be getting that kind of money. Of course they should. It's not about the dollar amount. It's about the piece of the pie, buddy, and how much of it they deserve, for which is probably much more than what they're receiving. Economics teach you a little something when you understand just the basics of it, for which I do, just basics. But those basics help me understand the context for which I should be looking for when I look at these value of these players and different things. I'm like, nah, that don't make no sense at all. That don't make no sense at all. A lot of things are just done because people don't understand value. A lot of mistakes are made that way, that is. So if I can see them, or at least point in the direction of where a mistake may be found, maybe people who are smarter than me can point them out and make better decisions. Or help others make better decisions, that is. So that's what I'm about. That's what I'm going to do. And all this fluff, this entertainment, hey, I like being entertained. I like watching Stephen A. Smith and all of that stuff. But it starts to be a situation where ethically I start wondering where they are. Because once you start taking a mental health conversation and you turn it back into a dollar amount conversation, ignoring certain facts, you're pushing the American public in a direction that doesn't help them learn the lessons necessary to learn from. Past situations have told us we need to take hints of mental health seriously. Past situations have told us we need to start looking for when certain things and the environment of certain things are possible. Certain things are just, if you can see a person starting to lose it, maybe you can get to them before they do something that hurts everybody else or hurts themselves or what have you. All I'm saying is you don't know when those situations occur, but you gotta be able to have righteous conversations for examples that may be. And if we're sitting here bullcrapping around with bullet points, they gotta be true. We're not doing the due diligence and looking for those things when these occurrences come about. Athletes are just people. Some people have mental health issues. Some people go through stuff. I know that's hard for a lot of y'all saints to believe. Some people just don't function properly. Some people just aren't strong. Some people just can't motivate themselves. Some people motivate themselves to do the wrong things ethically. And the choices to do so come from a place of mental health concern. This is not something that I'm toying with. It's something I live with. So I know this to be the case. I'm just lucky enough to be one of the people who can actually explain it to you. So for those who are trying to tell you what it is and what it ain't and what a person should be able to do from behind their eyes when they're struggling with what they're struggling with, believe you me, it don't work like that. I don't care what they want. It doesn't work like that. I don't care what their demands are. It does not work that way. Understand that. It just don't. You want us to do something differently, we want to do something differently too. You figure out the situation that's controlling our mind and helping us out, then we'll maybe be able to move the way you think we should logically. Until then, sit on the sideline and understand that you don't understand. That's what I would tell you. Because these conversations about people and how they should handle their mental health, it's offensive. You don't know the first thing about these struggles. You don't go through them. So trust that you don't have the context, as you would want others to trust that they don't have the context from which you work and why you do the stuff you do, including saying shit like this. You don't have the context necessary to understand the concerns of various different mental health variables that come in so many different forms. I don't even understand it myself. Whatever Ben Simmons is dealing with, it ain't gonna be aligned with your timing. It ain't gonna be aligned with what you think makes sense. It ain't gonna be aligned with what you feel. It ain't gonna be aligned with your dollars. It's about his mental health. And even the decision to deceive you about his mental health is a mental health concern, because he's painting himself out to be something that ultimately he shouldn't define himself as. That in and of itself is a mental health concern. And that's something that people don't talk about as well. The choices to make decisions that you know don't work for you come from a place of disturbance. So all this talk about all the mental health, he's saying he's just doing something stupid. That in and of itself is a mental health concern. So let's get educated, people. Before we start pointing fingers about what a person's mind can do, if you can fathom some of the most crazy things people have done, or some of the most secretive, crazy things you've ever heard of, then you can understand that there are many different people out here with really many different mindsets. And you too have something you may be hiding that may be crazy. And if that's the case, you're being irresponsible by telling everybody that this concern that I'm saying is existing isn't really a thing. Man, you know who you are. A lot of y'all hide in the shadows acting like you're saying you're not. But we know it. I know it. The first thing you do when someone starts talking about their mental health is start talking about how sane you are and what they should be doing. You don't have it all together. Stop lying to yourself. Just because you're not ready to face your mental health concerns does not mean that somebody else who's identifying theirs should be in the shadows too. That's your fight. Fight it your way. Let them come out and speak the way they're going to speak. Feel how they're going to feel without the scrutiny of your ignorance. My name is BDL44. Thank y'all for watching. I'm out.